crew all season long on WTMJ. It's Brewers Extra Innings. Now live from American Family Field, here's your host, Dominic Cotroneo.
Oh boy, whew. That escalated quickly. Wow. All the excitement and the energy and the fun was zapped in the first inning once again. Brewers are 0-4. No way around it. They didn't have a 4-game losing streak at all last season. They haven't lost 4 games in a row since the 2023 season. Yikes, to say the least. I'm Dom Cotroneo. Thanks for joining us. This is tough to talk about. To say, my microphone's kind of going in and out on me here, but we're trying to do a live fix here. I'm going to switch microphones while we do all this because just like the season has started in a poor fashion, so has it here in the BEI booth. So hang with me here. Let me switch headsets and get things over here. Make sure that everything's going to be okay. Okay. Minus 32 run differential. What is it? 42 runs now allowed with the 10th run? Yeah. Not great. It all escalated very, very quickly. And normally, if this is your first time listening to Brewers Extra Innings, the first segment's going to be highlights, and there's always stuff to talk about. And, well, the last 3 games in a row, there hasn't been much to talk about. Let me start with the historic aspect of that minus 32 run differential through 4 games. That is the worst ever in the modern era. The modern era goes back to 1900. The only team near that, over the minus 30 for a team's first 4 games of a regular season, the Baltimore Orioles in 1978. They were minus 31. The reason I bring up that Earl Weaver team is for a couple of reasons. First of all, they ended up winning 90 games that year. So it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Now, back then the playoffs were different. They did not make the playoffs, but they still won 90 games. The following year, they made it to the World Series. So if you really want to spin a story out of nothing, that's one way that I'm going to do it. They set a modern-era record for worst run differential in the first 4 games. And the team that previously did it was a team that won 90 games and was on the doorstep of greatness. And then, obviously, we know about the Orioles in the 80s. They made it in 83 and then kind of tore it down from there. The point of all of this is to say this is not the finished product in the slightest. It's unfortunate that 42,000 fans had to watch it in this version of it at home on the day of excitement, the day of honoring Bob Uecker. But fight the urge to give up. There is no reason to give up. They have not even played close to a semblance of the quality of baseball that they are supposed to play. This is a performance issue, and obviously the pitching issue. They're going to get it right. It's going to be okay. They got a long road for the rest of April to try to dig out of this run differential and try to get back to 500 because it's harder than it seems. It's not easy to win 4 games in a row. It's easy to lose 4 games in a row. Let's get to some of the phone calls and some of the text messages here since we're over here on ESPN Milwaukee today. 800-990-3776. Again, 1-800-990-3776. 1-800-990-3776. Let's get to the phone line. Vince, you're on the phone, leaving the ballpark. How you doing today, Vince?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Well, could be better with a W, but what do you got for us?
Yeah, I feel the same way. You know, me and my buddy, we're just leaving the stadium now, buying a bunch of cars. Pretty sad on our way back, and I just got to ask you, how concerned are you with the Brewers' pitching depth going into these next couple of weeks?
Yeah, that's a great question, because what we've seen today with Grant Anderson being the break glass in case of emergency guy to come up here, and he had to pitch 3 ups to get this game to the finish line and have that tough, 7th inning to give up the 6 runs. I'm at this point with the bullpen that I'm more concerned than the rotation, because there are pieces coming back in the rotation. You know, you think of Quintana, you think of Myers, and that should help the bullpen. But, you know, if I'm looking at DL Hall, if I'm looking at Aaron Ashby, I'm saying, hey, guys, I know you want to be starters, but we might need you more in the bullpen, and it might get you back sooner as opposed to later and have a more immediate role for them. Furthermore, Nick Mears will help. Abner Uribe's suspension ends tomorrow, so there'll be another roster shift tomorrow. But you're right, Vince. This bullpen depth, it got shot real quick, and I worry about the performances of the bullpen right now, given Brian Hudson struggled with strikes again. And let me just give you the numbers on the bullpen right now through 4 games. They have a 12 ERA, 19 innings, 26 earned runs. And here's the worst part. 13 strikeouts, 13 walks, and 5 hit batters. That's concerning. That's going to get back in the right direction at some point. But it's concerning to see it that big of a gap, given it was supposed to be one of your biggest strengths coming into the year. It's a good question. There are reinforcements on the way, but this is a Category 5 storm right now that the Brewers have a couple of 2x4s and a few bags of sand. This is going to be a hard storm to weather for the next couple of weeks. It sounds like April 11th is going to be the big day because that's when the minimum 15 days is up for Tobias Myers, from Nick Mears, for Jose Quintana. You could see a big move. If you can survive and just tread water until April 11th, that's how this pitching depth has to survive. That's a good question, though, Vince. Appreciate the call. I've seen a lot of negativity on Twitter, though, too, but there's also some constructive thoughts where it's like, I thought the depth was supposed to be a strength of this team, and it's true. It's a difference in depth in that last year's depth came out of the gates performing. Now, I talked about this on the show over the weekend, where Tobias Myers was a piece of that depth, and he started out slow last year, and Carlos Rodriguez was a piece of that depth, and when the team got healthy, he got sent back to AAA and never came back up, right? So right now they're at that point of, man, trying to grasp at what they have to get them a chance to win games. But it all comes back to the pitching. And we'll talk about the offense in the next segment because the offense is not innocent in this either. But you can see it now firsthand what Pat Murphy is talking about, being daunted with how many injuries that they have sustained during spring training and trying to get things back in the right direction. They just added Aaron Savali back on the injured list today as well. So we're going to take our first break of the program. It's an abbreviated show. We'll be back with more Brewers Extra Innings special edition on ESPN Milwaukee of opening day after this here on ESPN 94.5 Milwaukee.
Hey, it's ESPN Milwaukee's Brad Nortman here with some great news from my friends at Bank 5-9. For a limited time, you can earn as much as 4.8% on one of their CD specials. With 9, 17, and 25-month options, you're sure to find a CD that fits your needs while you earn a great return. It's simply another way Bank 5-9 is making lives better in our communities. Hurry! These high rates won't last long. Check out bank59.com/CD for more details. Member FDIC.
Here in Wisconsin, one name is synonymous with fantastic frozen pizza, Palermo's. For almost 60 years, Palermo's has focused on feeding Wisconsin families. And though Palermo's has grown a lot since 1964, they're still family-owned. They're still proud to call Milwaukee home. And they're still committed to making the best frozen pizza possible. From their new and improved rising crust pizzas to their guilt-free Primo thin pies, Palermo's has a delicious slice for every appetite. Find Palermo's in your local grocer's freezer food aisle. Palermo's, flavor is our family's business.
Nestled along the shores of Lake Michigan, the Knickerbocker Hotel offers a timeless escape in the heart of Milwaukee. Immerse yourself in the rich history of this iconic landmark where charm meets modern luxury. Picture yourself enjoying breathtaking lake views, luxurious rooms, and dining at one of the finest restaurants in the city. Whether you're visiting for a weekend getaway or a special occasion, the Knickerbocker promises an unforgettable experience. Your perfect stay awaits at the Knickerbocker Hotel. For more information and to book your next stay, visit knickerbockeronthelake.com.
Being a Pella consultant means helping people build their dreams.
For Jenna, helping others find joy is so rewarding. It's why we love to do what we do.
I enjoy simplifying the process for the customer, taking the time to listen, and finding the right solution.
Randy understands that everyone's situation is different, so we don't just slap together cookie-cutter solutions.
Customers really appreciate just how prepared we are. All the samples, the videos, pictures.
Jake arrives at your free in-home consultation with pre-prepared materials to fully fully envision your dream Pella build.
We're with you from start to finish. You literally have a friend from beginning to end and beyond with your project.
Whether you're working with Ryan or another Pella consultant, we don't go away after the sale. We're ready with anything you may need before, during, and after installation. And right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, get 0% interest for up to 72 months. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply at 3/31/2025.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 in the morning, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This is Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
Okay, fire things back up. We're going to go to the top of the hour for this post-game show. This is our Brewers Extra Innings program that we normally play over on WTMJ, but we're hanging out over here on ESPN Milwaukee. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. Thanks for joining us here on ESPN Milwaukee. This one stunk. I mean, that was not fun. Again, 10-1 or 11-1. Jeez, I'm misadding now. I mean, that's not good, man. Yikes, 11-1. 3 hits for early for this game. 6 hits total for the Crew. Isaac Collins had a couple of them. Sal Frelick had an infield hit. It's just a lot of pressure valve building right now. We'll talk about the offense in this segment as well, because you got to score more runs than the other team, no matter how many you're giving up. If you're not scoring runs, that's not helping either. Let's get to the phone lines. Again, the phone number, if you want to join us, if you want to text, if you want to call in, 1-800-990-3776. Again, 1-800-990-3776. Jacob down in Florida, but a Milwaukee native. You're live here on Brewers Extra Innings. Jacob, you got us. Oh, Jacob, he left us. All right, we'll try to get him back here. If you want to call in, let us know. Joe in the boonies, 0 sunshine and rainbows here. Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, there's not many ways to try to spin this in a different fashion other than 0-4 is no fun. You know, silver linings are there's some hard contact, but there wasn't today against Chris Bubich. The lefty was the Brewers' kryptonite once again. They've now faced 3 lefties and really struggled against all 3 of them. I think the big thing today, 78 miles an hour average exit velocity. Even on the pitches the Brewers were swinging at, they weren't doing anything. Another day where the top 4 of the lineup didn't do much. And I know Churio hit a double, but that was after he had already struck out 3 times and the game was over with, right? So in total, the top 4 in the order, Churio, Yelich, Contreras, and Hoskins, all 4 of them getting off to slow starts is part of the reason why the Brewers are in this 0-4 hole early in the season. They combined to go 1 for 13 today with 2 walks and 7 strikeouts. That's the top 4 of the order. Those are the guys that are going to hit more than anybody else. And I wonder, when's the home run going to be hit by one of those guys that just finally releases the valve? I mean, you can see Churio, he's swinging wildly at some of these first pitches. I know he wants it, but he's got 10 strikeouts already in the first 19 at-bats of his season. He had 5, obviously, on opening day, but 3 more today. That's not his game plan. That is not his MO. He had 121 all of last season in over 570 plate appearances. You got to monitor that, see if you can get that back in check. The way that Pat Murphy likes to describe it is that you meet the game halfway. And a lot of these guys haven't met the game halfway. And the game is overpowering them, and the game is beating them at the plate. And they're big leaguers on the other side. There's a line between tipping your cap and being disappointed in the performances. And I think that scale right now has swung a little more to the disappointment in yourselves and in the performances because, A, the Brewers team knows they're better than this. B, the Brewers front office hoped that they were better than this. That's why they assembled the team the way that they did. Regardless of the pitching injuries, The offense, this is what the offense is supposed to be the lineup-wise, aside from Blake Perkins. I mean, that's the biggest troubling thing of all of this, is like, you're 0-4, it's early, but where are the little things that we can point to and say, yeah, that's a good sign, that's a good thing? That's what you're looking for right now, and it's hard to find some of those things. So I went on a Google search here, and I just went to look through Major League Baseball archives, the worst starts to a season to make the playoffs. So for 25 games, I mean, just look at last year's Houston Astros team. And I was one of these people writing them off early. The Astros were 7-18, and then they ended up winning the division. 7-18 in the first 25 games. It was the worst record ever to win a division. Teams have started 10-15, 11-14 that have won their division. Wild card doesn't seem like it's in the cards for the Brewers, so we're not even going to mention the first 25 games for wild card, but the first 50 games? How about 22-28? Those Astros were still 6 games under 500, 50 games into the season before ultimately winning the division. So there's time to be figured out there. Then one of the more famous examples, of course, is the Nationals through 50 games, second worst record to be a playoff team. They were 19-31, and they went all the way to win the World Series. The Marlins in 2003, they were 21-29 in a year that they were quote-unquote going for it, and then ultimately won the World Series. There is a track record of teams that start slow and get back on track. But we can't talk about it until it actually happens. The Astros last year are a good example. Granted, they get bounced in the first round, and nobody wants that. But the point is, there is still so much season between now and the end of the year. But I look at those top 4 in the lineup: Chourio, Yelich, Contreras, Hoskins. I mean, Contreras doesn't have a hit against a left-handed pitcher yet this year. That is not in any model for success for the Brewers, Contreras not being thump against lefties. Because that was one of his strengths a season ago for the Brewers, and one of his key calling cards for Milwaukee is the fact that here was your guy that could be in there every day against lefties, especially as a catcher. He loves lefties in his own words. He had an 890 OPS against lefties with a 313 batting average a season ago. That is going to turn in the right direction. But the thing we monitor about that is he only hit 4 homers. 19 of his 23 homers were against righties. So when I think of all of this, it starts with the offense, get some momentum, get some runs, get some homers. But we know the team wasn't built to hit homers. The guys that are supposed to hit homers are being singled out. The guys like Yelich, the guys like Hoskins, the guys like Contreras, they're getting pitched tough. So then the bottom half of this order has a harder time having guys on base for them, driving in run opportunities, and that's what leads to a minus 32 run differential 4 games into the season. It's just not fun. Straight up not fun to deal with right now. Again, 1-800-990-3776, 1-800-990-3776. We do have some news as for who will start tomorrow. That will be Chad Patrick, the right-hander, one of the top prospects in the Brewers organization. He pitched in Saturday's drubbing against the Yankees. Chad Patrick gets his first big league start. He was one of the few guys not touched today. So when you look at the bullpen, looking ahead to tomorrow, trying to see who's available, who do you want, who do you got, you know that Grant Anderson's not going to be available after throwing as long as he threw today. You figure Elvis Peguero is not going to be available today or tomorrow after his tough 2-ups today. Brian Hudson threw 30 pitches today. He's not going to be available. Maybe Connor Thomas gets one more day, maybe not. Connor Thomas threw over 50 pitches on Saturday. Yoel Payamps, he threw 30 pitches yesterday. Does he need one more day? But you do get Abner Uribe back. Hopefully you're in a save situation where you can throw Trevor McGill in the 9th inning. And then you still have to figure out when you need coverage behind Chad Patrick if it goes bad. Is Tyler Alexander ready to go after throwing on Sunday? Just 1 day's rest for him, throwing multiple innings? What about, Connor Thomas, like we said? I mean, that's the problem with this bullpen right now and this pitching staff is just how many injuries and day-to-day waiting, and getting Abner Uribe back will certainly be helpful tomorrow. He's guaranteed to pitch tomorrow. But you, more pressing, need length out of Chad Patrick. Just need it. You need him to show off his cutter, keep guys uncomfortable, put the ball in play, and throw strikes. That's the number one thing. If it was that easy, everybody would do it. But the Brewers pitching staff has not been themselves in these first 4 games. Overall, they have walked both starters and relievers. In just 4 games, they have walked 21 batters. In 4 games, that is, among teams that have only played 4 games, that is the second most, only behind the Miami Marlins, who have 25. Now, the Cubs aren't much better, but they've played 2 more games than the Brewers, of course, because of Japan. They have 30 walks in their first 6 games. We'll monitor that. Opponent's batting average is .336, but that's going to be skewed for a long time, thanks to that opening weekend in New York. When the offense gets going, it leads to momentum on the pitching staff. If you feel confident when you look at the pitching staff and see, all right, zeros are coming at a plentiful rate. Okay, we're in this. I mean, it was 4-0 for the majority of this game after the home run from Maikel Garcia in the second inning. And then the Brewers, in the bottom of the second inning, they loaded the bases with 2 outs, but Terang ended up grounding out. They would get 2 men on with 2 outs in the third inning. They'll line out by Frelick. Then they wouldn't have multiple runners on base until the 8th inning when it was already in hand. They're not sustaining rallies. They're not able to. The air is out of the balloon right now. So Ricky Reeks getting tossed today with some of the most energy we've seen this season from the Brewers after he was arguing balls and strikes. He was trying to provide the spark. We've all seen that trick before. It didn't work. Who's going to be the guy to provide the spark? Because it has to happen tomorrow. What do you think? What say you? 1-800-990-3776. 1-800-990-3776. We're only going to the top of the hour, so we'll take our final break here. Brewers Extra Innings on ESPN Milwaukee.
Drum roll, please.
Carbless is here with refreshing new flavors. Introducing their Tropical Bliss Variety Pack. Let the summertime flavors of blood orange, watermelon, raspberry, and grapefruit whisk you away from the winter blues. New flavors, same great Carbless perks. Every handcrafted cocktail still has 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and just 100 calories. Find the Tropical Bliss Variety Pack in store wherever Carbless is sold and enjoy your winter passport to paradise. Grab a pack today and discover why Bliss is more with Carbless.
Here's Comedians and Sketchers Getting Comfortable, presented by Hands-Free Skechers Slip-Ins.
Hey, I'm Bobby Slayton, and I'm here with my pal, comedian, and Skechers ambassador, Mr. Howie Mandel.
Why did it take so long to invent something as amazing as Slip-Ins? I know it seems simple, but it took Skechers to invent a better pair of shoes.
Yep, with Skechers Slip-Ins, you just step it and go. You don't have to touch your shoes. And by the way, Slip-Ins are for the whole family, men, women, and kids. In all your favorite Skechers styles, find Skechers Slip-Ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Find what you love and love what you find. A Total Wine and More, the place to go for. Sipping rosés with seltzers on ice. Making margaritas with your favorite tequilas. It's warm out, let's go. Our prices are low on spirits, beer, and wine. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Only at Total Wine and More. Drink responsibly. B21. It's time to show off your skills and earn a pair of Bucks tickets for the regular season finale April 13th. Now's the time of year when we're all trying to get buckets. At home, on the driveway, in the gym, or even in the office. Send us a video of your best hoops trick shots. Use hashtag BucksTrickShot and show us what you've got. It's the Bucks Trick Shot Contest. Send your shots now through April 8th on Twitter at ESPN Milwaukee using hashtag BucksTrickShot.
An ESPN Radio Extra Point with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman.
Is this parity in college basketball? How would you define what we're seeing right now with 4 number 1 teams for the second time ever? First time was in 2008. Ironically enough, in San Antonio.
Well, I think there is parity just because you brought up the fact that a lot of the star players for these powers are guys that transferred, right? Mm-hmm. So they had to come from somewhere, and they're coming from mid-major or low-major programs. So in essence, the talent base that we're seeing, the best players across college basketball don't necessarily start off at the biggest programs. They don't necessarily start off at Blue Blood. So I love the fact that you can get the Cinderella story. It just might not be with a Cinderella team. It might be the individual player, like Janai Broome started at Morehead State. So when we start talking about parity, yeah, this is an example of parity because you're seeing that the talent is spread out across all the different levels. Who's cutting down the nets this year? Get in on all the tournament action at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Go from tracking the latest upsets to placing bets in just a few taps. Right now, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code USL to get started today. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Quarterback Jordan Love isn't just on the Packers. He's also on the American Family Insurance team. Because like us, he believes in dreaming fearlessly.
Just chase your dreams and don't let nobody hold you back.
And we help protect those dreams with the right coverage so you can
dream fearlessly.
American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
This is Brewers Extra Innings on WTMJ.
I gotta say, I am a little jealous of the Get Back music over here on ESPN Milwaukee versus what we have at WTMJ. Matt Yazel, let's get on that. Our producer, also Chris Larson, helping out back in studio, back at the Avenue. I'm here at American Family Fields for another 10 or so minutes here on ESPN Milwaukee. If you want to listen to more Brewers talk after the games, remember we've got you Brewers Extra Innings, normally over on WTMJ, but today we're going to hang out over here until the top of the hour, and then we'll be back on WTMJ tomorrow night after the game. And if you want to find these in podcast form, Brewers All Access, wherever you get your podcasts. You'll hear manager Pat Murphy sound. You'll hear, normally we'd have Craig Sean on or Jerry Augustine on. I've had Vinny Rottino on. And then our Brewers warm-ups, we'll have a variety of guests and 5 good-minute segments on Sunday. So really do a really good job of coverage, I believe, over on WTMJ, your flagship home of the Brewers. So more reaction to this game as I sit here and recap an 11-1 game. You know, it being 3-0 in the first inning and already feeling over was not great. I think a lot of people felt that sentiment too, where this isn't right. You know, being down 3-0 shouldn't feel like the game is over. And that never felt that way last season. And we're only 4 games in. It's going to change. They're going to have some wicked hot stretch where they win like 12 out of 15, and we just laugh at this stretch that they were in at the start of the year. But until that happens, it's going to be doom and gloom and panic and, oh my God, what is going wrong with this team? And that's the truth. But as far as instant fixes, what can the Brewers do to get this team right? And aside from the obvious of like health, right? Because that's not for another couple weeks, okay? This is the team that's going to have for a little while. And I want to make a claim right off the bat here. Craig Yoho should be on this team. I don't understand. I mean, okay, I should backtrack. I do understand why he's not on the team, not on the 40-man, the options, and that sort of thing, having that flexibility. But, man, Craig Yoho isn't the reason why they're 0-4, but it'd be nice to have him in the big leagues, and I think he's going to be one of the first calls as far as once the Brewers have another injury in their bullpen or somebody doesn't perform up to a standard, because this is a performance-based business, Yoho's going to be the first call out of the bullpen. It's the truth. He will be in the big leagues. In my imagination, Craig Yoho will be a big leaguer by the end of April. I really believe that, because they're going to need an arm. Somebody's going to be hurting. Somebody's going to be sore. They're going to need Craig Yoho on this roster sooner as opposed to later. So that's one way you can get a little bit better. The number 2 way I think you can get a little bit better is move Chourio down in the order. I know we got so excited about what he did in the second half of the season last year, and he earned his way to the top half of this order, right? We were talking about it in July. I was like, man, it's the time to move Chourio up. And then in August, he was in the 2 and the 1 spot for the rest of the year, and he was fantastic. But right now, you need to ease pressure a little bit on him. And I imagine he's probably going to bat second again tomorrow with Bryce Terang in the leadoff spot, given they're facing a righty. But is he going to lead off again on Wednesday with a lefty on the mound and Cole Reagans? Furthermore, I wonder if William Contreras is going to DH finally on Wednesday and give Eric Haas a day behind the plate with Freddie Peralta on the mound. That's something to monitor for Wednesday, too. The next thing I wonder is Isaac Collins going to get a start? I mean, he's a switch hitter. He's had a couple of great swings from the right side in the last couple of games. Do you give Isaac Collins a shot? Why not? Let's just try to see what the Brewers can mix and match, aside from the obvious injuries with the pitching. And on that note, we do have audio from Pat Murphy. He talked to the media earlier today after the loss. Here's what Murph had to say to the assembled media here on opening day.
We're decimated on the mound. I've kind of made it clear, and you guys know who was going to be on the team and who's no longer, who's injured and building up and et cetera. So when you're going with guys that don't have that much experience, some of them, or guys that have to come in the game, and then you get a couple of rough starts from two of your main guys, you're going to be in a position when, and believe me, guys, I want to make something clear in this room. If you think there isn't energy, or you think these guys aren't trying, or you think these guys aren't going at it, trust me, they're hurting as bad as anyone that loves the Brewers is hurting. I appreciate all the fans coming out. It was awesome on opening day. What a special moment to honor Uke and to go through opening day with a packed house on a Monday afternoon. It was wonderful to be part of until it got out of hand. And we've got a lot of inexperienced arms out there. See, this is what I tell you is that when you talk about the pitching separate from the offense, Kurt, you know what I mean? You talk about it separately. Like, whoa, your offense you got no hitting. Well, it all affects each other. You know what I mean? When you're down, can you steal? Can you put the ball on the ground? Can you hit and run? Can you do all those types of things that made us a strong offense? It's kind of discouraging for them, so it's really hard. And then you play lackluster defense, and then, all sorts of things are related to each other. So we've got to get off to a good start. We haven't done that ever. Get off to a good start, We had a chance to win the first game of the year and had some things go against us that Mother Nature was part of. And other than that, we haven't been competitive in 3 games. We haven't been close from the start. But it's not for lack of effort. These guys care as much as anybody, and you can point fingers and start blaming things, and it's just not healthy because we're all in kind of a ugly state when you don't get the result you want. And you get so emotionally attached to that result, you get away from what you really should be attached to, which is the process. How do we get there? How do you win pitches? How do you execute pitches? That type of thing. So it gets away from you a little bit. And now, the other main point I want to say is the Yankees and the Royals are 2 very, very good teams, and they've gotten great pitching. So. Yeah, that's where we're at right now. Not any better. We didn't lose 4 games in a row all last year. We haven't lost 4 games in a row since 2023. That's a blessing, but it's the reality of baseball. It's going to happen, and you got to be strong enough to get through it. So I hope I am.
Murph, I was going to ask.
Yeah, I hope he is too, because that's what the daunting task is ahead of them. And that was all from one question. Kudos to Murph, man. He makes me want to run through a wall. Seriously, what a dude. What an awesome guy to be leading this team. Just the thought that, and this quote coming from the clubhouse, this courtesy of Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel's Kurt Hogue from Christian Yelich. The Brewers being 0-4, outscored by 32 runs. It's just 4 games, but we got to do better. It's unacceptable to do that. There's different kinds of losses, but we're better than that. Simply put, they're better than this. 100% they are better than this. And maybe they're going to spin this off into 8 wins in a row, and we all laugh about how much we were panicking about this first start. The offense is virtually the same. The massive subtraction, of course, of Willy Adames. And people are going to instantly point to that, saying that's the reason why this team's not hitting. Willy Adames. Look, it's all-encompassing. Mention the top 4 in the order. The fact that you only have, 2 homers to this point in the year, Terang and Capra. You're striking out a lot. Churrio's been off to a slow start, just like he was last year. Right? Sal Frelick's got the only guy that's been hitting, and even yet, he's only got 1 extra base hit, I think. No, he doesn't even have an extra base hit. He's 6 for 14 with 6 singles, and I think 3 of them are on the infield. So, who's going to be the guy that actually gets hot and says, get on my back, let's go? Someone on this offense is going to do it. And then when somebody on the offense does it, maybe Freddie Peralta on Wednesday says, get on my back, I'm going 8 today. You boys in the bullpen, take the night off. I got this one. Someone's going to do that this week because You set the tone early. We talk about how great the Brewers set the tone last year, not just because of the fighting, but the fact that they went into New York, a hostile environment, and swept the Mets. This year, they go into New York, a hostile environment, and get swept by the Yankees. What changed? What's different? So who are the guys that are going to flip that switch, get things right? On a human level, you're finally back home tonight, as in your own bed. You got home late yesterday. They had some flight trouble, but champagne problems. You're finally in your own bed tonight. Maybe you're getting a good dinner with you and your significant other tonight if you're on a Brewers. And you're like, exhale. You finally get to sleep in tomorrow. First night game of the year tomorrow. That's a real thing. Okay? Sleep in tomorrow. New York, it's fun, but the hustle and bustle, maybe your family's there, the opening day, all this stuff, everything is, someone wants to do this. Exhale. 6 straight days at home. That'd be nice. Take a chill. Take a breather. Sleep in your own bed tonight. Enjoy that. And then come back to the ballpark tomorrow with a new attitude like you're 0-0. Because that's what Pat Murphy's going to say. Win tonight. Win tonight and we're 1-0. And then you show up on Wednesday, you're 0-0 again. That's how you make up an 0-4 stretch to start the season. The only guys that can fix it are the guys in the dugout. They know it just as well as you do. I think that makes total sense. There's no reason to abandon ship. Real quick here, as we wrap up the program, this is totally non-Brewers related, but baseball related. Massive news out of Atlanta. Braves outfielder Jurickson Profar is being suspended for 80 games for violating Major League Baseball's PED policy. Whoa! Could be worse. That's not a challenge, baseball gods. When I say it could be worse, that's not a challenge. And by the way, know who's one of those baseball gods now? Bob Uecker. Bob, come on, man. Can you give us some love? Can you give us a little stoink, a gork, a port shot home run? Can you give us something, man? We all want some positivity here back at the ballpark tomorrow. So this was a little abbreviated edition of Brewers Extra Innings with our friends over here on ESPN Milwaukee. You can catch me tomorrow after the game back over on 620 WTMJ, online as well. I'm Dom Catronio. Our producers have been Matt Yazel and Chris Larson. Keep on